Hi, how you doing? This is a short video just to introduce you to the main textbooks for fundamentals of leadership. There are two textbooks here. One of them I require you to read in full. The other one has a couple of set chapters for workshops later on in the course. The reason that I can't just provide them to you as readings is that they're over 10% and there's a copyright rule that says that we can't provide that to you, so you need to buy the textbook, but it's well worth it. The first one is this, Leadership on the Line by Heifetz and Linsky. This is kind of the key text for the course. You need to read this whole book for the course. I've broken it up so that you need to read maybe part 1 or part A, I think, for the intensive, so get on that straight away. The other sections, chapters, you're given a chapter or 2 chapters per workshop to read throughout the course. Now, one of the things is that the chapters that you're asked to read are not necessarily aligned with the content of the workshops. It's because you need to read the book from beginning to end, and I didn't really want to structure the whole course just in terms of the chapters of the book. That seems like an overly technical solution. So you may find that you're reading chapters and it doesn't necessarily align with what you're thinking about. What I recommend, actually, if you can, is to just read the whole book before the course starts, before the first intensive. But you are expected to read the whole thing throughout the course of the course as well. So this is a really great book. Obviously, that's why I've said it. It's got a lot of theory. It's got the ideas, the key ideas of adaptive leadership. It's accessible. It's not too heavy, and it has lots of practical examples. So Heifetz and Linsky's experience comes to bear. They talk about a lot of people they've worked with and their approaches and apply a lot of the theories and what they're talking about to those examples. So there's lots of examples there. What I encourage you to do is really think about how those examples relate to you. And if you can relate to any of them, there were some of them in there that I went, wow, that's just like me. It's like one of the experiences I've had, and it gave me a lot of insight into what I'd been through and my experience in leadership roles. The other book is this one, The Practice of Adaptive Leadership. Okay, it's much larger. Well, not much larger, but it's significantly larger. It's quite practical, quite hands-on. There's only a couple of chapters in here that you're required to read for the course, so you don't have to read all of both of these books. But there's definitely some really valuable stuff in here that we couldn't get from Leadership on the Line. However, you may find this book really useful for just flicking through. Have a look through the contents page, see if there's any ideas in there, any sections you want to read further. In particular, there's a really useful way that this book structures things where it'll say, for example, on the balcony there, so it'll talk about some ideas and then it'll say, have a bit of a reflection about your own workplace or your own experience. Have a bit of a think about how this applies to you. And then there's a section on the practice field that says, here's something that you can try with your team or in your workplace. So it's very kind of practical and hands-on, but at the same time encouraging you to reflect. So it really gets you to practice that, going from the balcony to the dance floor and back again. Repeatedly. So what you might like to do is have a look at those sections, use the balcony sections to think about what's going on in your case consultations, and maybe use some of those practice field sections to think about how you may intervene or try some experiments to help understand what's going on in your cases a little bit more. So they're the two set texts for this course. Leadership on the Line, you have to read the whole thing. Practice for Adaptive Leadership, you have to read a couple of sections, which will come up later in the workshop, and you're encouraged to use that as recommended reading as well. All of the rest of the readings for this course are available in the course folder or electronically on my uni, save for one, which I couldn't get access to a printed copy of it for the folder, but I've made that available via my uni, and we'll make sure you get access to that. If you want to know where to get these books, strongly recommend Book Depository or Amazon. That's the cheapest way to get them, or you might try bookstores and things like that. So good luck with that. All right, thanks for listening and see you next time. Cheers.